in the presence of your being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of light, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom now, erase our mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world, according to thy perfect law.
Even so, I may feel my efforts are not enough, especially when needs are great. But the impulse to care is in many people, the activity of God streaming through so many hearts and hands. As I join my efforts with theirs, I trust we can lift up even the most dire situation. I am a caring presence, ready to help, serve, and love. So deeply do we care for you that we are determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you have become very dear to us. 1 Thessalonians 2:8.
I feel my heart go deeper.
choir. That was a perfect song for today and this week. For those of you who may not remember, this Thursday is our World Day of Prayer for Unity. And what we do here at Unity East, which I have to give recognition to our licensed Unity teacher, Linda Ridley, because were it not for Linda, I don't think we would have the benefit that we do at Unity East from the World Day of Prayer. Because what we do is we open the church at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a sign-up sheet if you would like to have a time slot for yourself and someone else to come in and either pray silently on your own, or you may pray with someone in church leadership. So we are here all day long, and then in the evening we hold the individual prayer in the sanctuary. We have a lovely soup and sandwich dinner together, and then we have an evening service starting at 7 p.m. And last year for the first time, we invited a couple, husband and wife. He does a crystal bowl meditation. And if you've never been to a crystal bowl meditation, I mean, it is such a moving experience. It truly, truly is. And to top it off, she has a lovely voice, and she does these beautiful chants that accompany the crystal bowl meditation. And her husband not only plays beautifully, but makes Native American flutes. So you can imagine a man who has spent years crafting these beautiful instruments and learning to play them. And he teaches, if you ever want to learn, if you want to buy one or want to learn how to play one, he also does that. And we're stepping it up this year and making the crystal bowl meditation a bigger part of the service itself. We're going to actually have her in the center of the sanctuary under the dome. So the acoustics should be fabulous. And then we'll be surrounding her and the Native American flute. So I'm expecting a lot of goosebumps. A lot of goosebumps. In fact, I got you just now. I was thinking about it. Because I went to my first crystal bowl meditation back in 2020. And it was such a moving experience. And then when we were talking about World Day of Prayer and, what could we do to, juice it up a little bit. And I mentioned the fact that I had been to a crystal bowl meditation years earlier, and I believe it was our wonderful musical director, Nancy Modrick, who said, "Oh, I know someone." And isn't that the way it works? That's the way the universe works. Things just come together so beautifully, and I'm so looking forward to this Thursday, and I hope that if you are anywhere near the area that you can join us, because I just think it's going to be fabulous. Of course, I'm just a little biased when it comes to that, just a tad. But anyway, so today, I found it very interesting that the word for today in the daily word was care. Because the title for my talk that I chose, for my talk is Even When the Healing Doesn't Come. Because it doesn't always, does it? And there's a group, I listen to a lot of Christian radio, and there's a group called Cutlass that does a song that's entitled Even When the Healing Doesn't Come. And some of the lyrics of that song is that even when the healing doesn't come and life falls apart and dreams are left undone, still, these aren't the lyrics, but what it says is there's always still that power and presence that is only good and only love. And you know, we, in our human physical forms, we can mess up pretty good. We can make some mistakes, and things happen on this physical plane that are less than enjoyable from time to time. And what we do here in unity is learn to see beyond appearances. And what we mean by that is to know that even when the healing doesn't come, even when what we've planned doesn't work out the way we planned, even in those times, we are able to remember that God is good when?
All the time.
All the time. Not just when things are going the way we want them to, but even when things are not. And that's those times when the healing doesn't come, when the dreams fall apart. That's when we really need to lean into our faith. And that's why we come here. Because sometimes our faith isn't as strong as we would hope it would be. And sometimes what we need is to be surrounded by others who can say it's gonna be okay. It might not feel like it for us individually at that moment. But when we come to a place like this, come to a place of community and caring, just like it said in the daily word, then we can get the support we need to make it through those times that, quite honestly, are pretty darn tough sometimes. And I mean, it would be great if there were never any tough times. Wouldn't life be easy then? But that's not the way it works. And I read about this creature that lives in the ocean, way beneath the waters of the ocean. And it's actually, it has no spine, no bones. It is just a very soft, fleshy crustacean. And when I add the word crustacean, that means that soft, fleshy, boneless body is covered with a hard shell. And that's how it protects itself. Because without that hard shell, it would be totally vulnerable. Has anyone ever gone scuba diving or snorkeling and maybe been with an instructor and they see maybe a sea urchin or something on the bottom of the water and they take their little knife and they flip it up and then they stab it? Have you ever experienced that or heard about that? Do you know what happens when they do that? Like a zillion fish come from out of nowhere and totally consume that creature, whatever it happened to be. So if this crustacean did not have that shell, it wouldn't last 2 seconds in the ocean. But there's this thing that happens. That fleshy, boneless body mean, that's part of nature, right? We start small, and then we end up bigger. And the same thing happens to that fleshy, boneless creature. So when that fleshy, boneless part starts to get a little snug in that hard casing, what has to happen? It has to leave the casing. It has to be vulnerable. So it finds the safest spot it can find, and it actually sheds that hard shell and regrows another bigger one. And the creature that I'm talking about is one that many of us, including myself, may have enjoyed from time to time. It's called a lobster. Yum, yum. But imagine that. And this doesn't happen just once in a lobster's lifetime. I did a little research. And a lobster, they start off, when they start harvesting lobsters, they start off at a pound or less. And they can grow up to like 10 pounds. Huge. So multiple times during their lifetime, they have to shed that shell and regrow a new one. They have to be vulnerable. And don't we kind of have to do the same thing? And isn't the time that we are the most vulnerable? Isn't the time that we need to we maybe feel like we need to hide? Is when we're going through those times when the healing doesn't come, the dreams fall apart, life is not as nice to us as we would hope it would be. So it just reminds me how much we have in common, not only with each other, but with all parts of the universe. Because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's what sets us apart from everything else. From the lobsters and our puppy dogs and kitty cats that we love so dearly. But they operate by instinct. That presence and power lives in them too. But that presence and power gives them guidelines. The fleshy body's getting too big, time to go into hiding so that you can shed that shell and grow a new one. We don't get those guidelines. We have to figure it out on our own. And that's why we come here. Because dreams do fall apart. Healings don't always come. And when that happens, we can be in a world of hurt. And that, what do you do? What do you do if you don't have a community like this? I mean, there's a lot of people who, instead of getting better, letting these challenges which can also be looked at as opportunities, there's a lot of people that when they're faced with these difficulties, instead of getting better, they get bitter. They get bitter and angry and live the rest of their lives like that. I'm sorry, I don't want to be one of those people. And my life hasn't always been easy. And I know none of your lives have always been easy. Yet you are here. You care. You show that you care by being there when you know that someone else is going through one of those times. And it might be somebody in this church, it might be somebody in your family, it might be someone you barely know. But there are still things that we can do as loving, caring people to show others that we care. My son is actually, my adult son is actually looking to buy his first home. And yesterday, Mike and I were driving around and there was an open house. So we went into this open house. And it was a nice home. It was a little too expensive for the son and a little too, if I was interested in it, it's a little smaller than I would prefer. But it was a lovely home, and the real estate agent was there. And then there was this other lady that was there. Typically it's the real estate agent and whoever's looking, right? So this other lady, and she was trying to offer me information as I was wandering through. And then the real estate agent comes up to me and she goes, that's the owner's daughter. The owner passed. And she's having a hard time. She's having a hard time letting go. It took me a long time to even get her to list the house. She shouldn't really be here. And I said, it's okay. It's okay that she's here. And I talked to her a little bit more. And I didn't know her. I just knew what she was going through. And it's hard to let go. Change is hard. And when we lose someone we care about so much, it is because we can no longer hold and hug them. We might want to hold and hug what they left behind, even if it's a house. So, even when the healing doesn't come, when we lose someone that we care about so dearly, we can still hold on to who they were, to what they left. And it doesn't have to be anything in the physical, because what they really left is the love that we still feel for them. And as I was preparing for this service, I read about a young man, and his name is Josh Shipp. And according to statistics, Josh shouldn't even be alive. Or if he was still alive, he should either be homeless or incarcerated. That's what the statistics tell us about this young man. And why does he fall into that statistical category? Because he was a foster child. And foster children don't tend to do very well. The percentages of foster children that end up homeless or incarcerated or dead are like 70% compared to like 8% of a normal teenager. So Josh was, by the time he was 14, he had been bullied, he had been raped, he had tried to take his own life multiple times. And he had been kicked out of so many foster homes, it had become a game to him to see how quickly he could get the next family to boot him out. So is that he never had anyone to talk to. I mean, as much as we would like to think that we have all these systems in place that take care of these kids, overworked, underpaid, not enough resources, I mean, that's the name of the game in the foster care system, sadly. So he had no one to talk to about what he had been going through. So he expressed his feelings of anger, his feelings of hurt, his feelings of frustration by acting out. That's how he got attention. That's how people knew who Josh was, by golly. And he knew that there wasn't anybody, none of them, that he could trust. So the next foster home he got sent to, when he got out of the car and started walking up to the porch, there's this man standing on the porch, and the man was about 6'5". He was standing sideways, and I hate to stand sideways, so I'm not going to do it. But he was standing sideways, and Josh described it as he looked like the small letter B. And so he said, well, I bet you that's going to work for me. He knew how he was going to get to this guy. So he went in and he did the same thing he usually does. He was annoying, he was rude, he was sullen, he was angry, he did everything, and nothing worked. He couldn't get this guy, Rodney, couldn't get Rodney to kick him out. I mean, he usually only lasted a few weeks, maybe a few months. This went on for 3 years. Couldn't get Rodney to kick him out. So now he's 17, and he figures, okay, time to up the game. So he goes and he opens a bank account, puts about 50, 60 bucks in it, and then he proceeds to start writing checks. Remember those things? He starts writing checks to the tune of about $10,000. You think he got in a little bit of trouble? He got in a lot of trouble. He got caught, and he was arrested, and he was taken to jail. And you get one phone call. He called Rodney, and he said, Rodney, I'm in trouble, I'm in jail, I need you to come bail me out. And Rodney said, well, okay, but I'm not going to bail you out tonight. He let him sit in jail overnight. Didn't go till the next day. And I did that once with my now adult son, who was not a foster child, but boy, was he a child. and he went through some tough times, and as a result, so did Mom. And he got himself into some serious trouble and got himself arrested, got himself in jail. And I went to the police station, and the police said, you can take him home, or we can put him in overnight. And I said, I think he needs to go in overnight. It was the toughest thing I ever did in my life. It was. I don't even know how to describe it. But any of you who are parents who had teenagers who were a bit challenging may relate. And as I said, today after church this afternoon, we're going with our adult son, same kid, who's now looking at buying his first home. So things have improved. Things have definitely improved. So Josh learned from that experience that there was someone he could trust, and that was Rodney, because Rodney never gave up on him. In fact, when Rodney came and bailed him out of jail, and they went home and they sat down and talked, and Josh says, "What is it with you, dude?" And Rodney looked at him and said, "You know what, Josh? We don't see you as a problem. We see you as an opportunity." An opportunity, because that's what we have when the healing doesn't come, when life falls apart, when dreams are left undone. Those are actually the divine spirit giving us our greatest opportunities. Because that's the time when the shell is off, when the vulnerability is right at the surface, when we have the opportunity to grow, because that's when we grow, is when the shell comes off. When the tough times come and we are hurting, that's the time that there's a saying that I've adopted over the years, and that is, during those times, we can either go within or we'll end up going without. And we know what that means, don't we? We know. Because there is that presence and power. And that's why we pray. That's why we meditate. So that we can connect more closely and more deeply with that presence and power that's always there for us, even when the healing doesn't come. We can go within and be comforted and be cared for. And we can come to places like Unity East, where we know that there's a community of like-minded people who care and who will be there for us. Give us the hug if we need the hug. Like the lobster, life can get uncomfortable, and we have to make changes, and we have to be vulnerable. And I like to say that it's not what happens that is really the most important part. It's how we choose to respond to what happens. Because when Josh was a young boy, was he responding? Was he making choices? No. He was reacting, and he was lashing out with anger and hurt and frustration. When we get a little older and more mature, when we develop our relationship more deeply and more closely with that presence and power that is only love and only good and always there for us, when we develop that relationship, then those challenges start to become recognized as our true opportunities. Because it's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens that makes all the difference. And I'd like to close with a quote by Helen Keller. She had a few tough times in her life, I think. She said, "Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through the experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved." And the bottom line for me is written in the Bible when it says, all things work together for my highest good. Namaste. So let's take whatever it is that you receive from that message, take it with you into that place, that heart space, where your mind and your heart connect with that spirit, that divine spirit that is only love and only good. And if you're going through one of those times that might look like a challenge, but it's truly an opportunity for your growth. The shell is off. You're vulnerable. Allow that period of vulnerability to be a period of growth and strengthening. So let's take that love, take that spirit, take that divine order, that all goodness, and sit with that, embrace it, feel it. Feel it filling us completely. Not just in our physical form, but all through our physical form and without. We go within. And when we go within, all good things come to us. So let's take a few moments in the silence and appreciate that love and support. Sweet Spirit, we feel that presence. We know it's always there. And we know that we can always lean into that power and presence. And that it is our help, it is our strength, because it is only love and only good. And it is that power and presence that can do all things. Things that we have no idea how to do. Things that we don't know how, sometimes we just don't know how we're going to take the next step. But we know that presence and power is there for us and with us. And it can show us the way, lead us, guide us, help us to take whatever step or steps we need to achieve whatever it is that is ours to do. And we are so grateful for this knowing, So grateful for this love. So grateful for all that we are given and blessed with. And together we sing and pray the Lord's Prayer. And now it's time for our tithes and offerings. And I want you to take notice, we have our new Unity logo on our envelopes. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. You know, we're in the midst of working on becoming part of the new Unity branding program so that whenever you go to a Unity church anywhere in the world, because this is a global movement, so whenever you go to a Unity church anywhere in the world, you'll feel at home. And that's what we want you to feel. We want you to feel at home here because everyone is welcome. I'm again biased, but I think we are a very friendly, kind, warm, loving, and caring community. And we welcome you with open arms to be part of this community and share with us in the highs and lows. One of the highs that we get, though, is when we collect bees. Because we got a lot we need to do around here. And so it really helps, and we appreciate it a great deal. And printed on the back of the envelope is the prayer that we say when we give our tithes and offerings. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give joyfully and easily, for the universe is my source, and abundance is mine. that Josh Shipp, that young man who tried to get kicked out of so many foster homes, he is today a very successful and highly respected author and motivational speaker who goes around the country telling his story and helping young people to change their own lives. So, didn't want to forget to tell you. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great day and week.